Okay, this is the Extrema Ratio HF2D. The D stands for drop point. There's a HF2T for Tanto. It's a liner lock folder, flipper. You saw it before, let's have a look at it. Okay, so there you are, liner lock. Okay, and it has some very interesting things as a military designed folder. The first thing is you've got this hole here. Can you see that hole in there? The hole is to put this pin in there. If I put this pin through here and then turn this so it says lock, can you see lock there? See that? Lock. Once that pin is inserted in here, you see this is the main pivot point axis. This is off axis. This blade cannot close. First of all, there's two mechanisms in operation here. Let's just have a look at what they are. I'll take that out for a minute just to show you. So the irregular liner lock, okay. And the thing that stops the knife closing is the liner here, the end of the liner. And the thing that stops the knife blade lifting up like that is, if we look at it, obviously, that's the regular stop pin. There it is there. Can you see that there? The regular stop pin, that big chunky pin in there. Now let's assume that this pin fails and the liner itself fails in operation. If this pin is placed into here and then we lock that, even if the liner fails, okay, the liner would be to move if it moves, and the stop pin breaks, you've got 2 points of contact. You've got the main pivot and this big steel pin here. The knife cannot move. So let's pretend that the liner has failed. I'm going to unlock that to do that, so I can push the liner to the side. And watch this. I'm going to push the liner flush with the body. You see, the knife cannot close because that pin prevents it. Okay, and it would not, conversely, it would not be able to go back the other way. It would stop, even if the stop pin was damaged because of that pin. Now, what is the purpose of that? Well, you see when that liner is open, there's a little bit of movement in there. So clearly this pin is not designed as a load-bearing pin in the actual regular mechanism of usage of the knife. This pin is actually like a form of redundancy, a fail-safe if you like, in the case of if this mechanism was to fail here or in the back, as I've already told you, the pin would prevent the closure of the knife and the knife would still be completely operational. Okay, I'm going to take out that pin for a minute, so I'm going to unlock that so we see that that's in the unlock position. Now I'll pull this thing out. And this is a regular liner lock, of course. So now the other form of locking, if I don't put the pin in and just put that there to lock like that, I cannot press, accidentally, I cannot press the liner to the flush with the body of that side. So I can't close the knife, you see that, because the liner cannot go flush with the body of the knife. So it's just like a regular liner lock, and it's a kind of a Lorx type thing if you like. Okay, so that's open. I can close that, and if you can see already, it's a flipper folder. All right, let's move on. Talk about the specifications of this knife now. In the closed position from here to here is approximately 7 inches long. When it's opened, okay, when this is open, this now comes to 12 inches long. So it's a whopping great big folder. Let me just close it for a sec there. Okay, so it's 7 inches long from here to here. Now the blade itself from here to here basically is 130 millimeters. It's about a 5-inch, really it's the equivalent of a 5-inch hunting knife blade, fixed blade. But of course, if I had a 5-inch standard hunting knife with this kind of size drop point blade, when it's open and everything, it's obviously longer than the whole knife here like this, absolutely. You know, what else do we have here? Okay, so this is made from T8082 aluminium alloy. That's a structural aluminium alloy. That's the stuff they used to make rock climbing toys out of. And we've got a steel spacer in here. This is a solid chunk of steel in here, and you see here we've got the butt end here protrudes out past the aluminium alloy body. It came with a spare pocket clip you've got for left deep carry or right, so there's a different shape pocket clip because it has to go across there, so they're asymmetrical. You can remove the pocket clip altogether with Allen bolts, and it was supplied with an Allen key to take that out. The other fixing bolts on here. These are Torx head or small Allen bolts in here, like that. Okay, and the other thing I like about this big flipper is you see this gimping here. It's a very comfortable, it looks blocky to begin with, but it's a very comfortable grip. See that there? With this pocket clip, okay, you can carry it, obviously it's deep carry in the pocket. It's pretty big. If there's my pocket, you know, it's basically the size of the pocket. So I don't like pocket clips anyway, because they show that you are carrying something indeed, and it's not covert. But you can't carry this on a belt, because this is, you know, tip up carry, and it's dangerous to do so with such a knife. The other thing why it has to be carried in a in the container it came with, here it is here, let's have a look at that while we're talking about it. It came with this great pouch like this, okay? It's a great pouch, Velcro here, Velcro on the top, is because this knife should not be thrown into a pack, because there's a lot of mass on that blade, and if you go like that, you see the blade's going to open, right? So it needs to be confined when carrying this knife. So the knife can be fine adjusted on the pivot here. We've got two, this is the main pivot bolt, and another small grub screw here. Now if you remove this grub screw and get a flathead and turn this, you can actually adjust the tension on how well the knife opens and closes for your desired, you know, personal preferences there with that. I have not adjusted this from the factory because I'm quite satisfied with how it is already. Okay, so it's not surprising, like many of, or literally all of Extrema Ratio's products, this construction is extremely robust on there. Now, they say in their literature on the website, the use of this pin here, when it's in there, it gives the knife some sort of like fixed blade qualities. I wouldn't go so far as saying that. As I've already explained, I believe the pin really is a redundancy mechanism, a fail-safe mechanism, so the knife, you know, if the stop was to fail or the liner lock itself was to fail in there, the knife would still be quite functional indeed. So why would the liner lock, let's just address that, why would the liner lock fail? In a force which is going in this direction like this, so that's obviously not a cutting force, but maybe if you shove the knife into something and went like this, because in this direction the knife wants to close, okay? It's not against the stop pin, it's against the liner lock. Remember, the liner lock, the liner and the back of the tang, they are actually wedges, essentially opposing wedges, and if enough force is applied on any liner lock, the liner will start to slip. Now, without inserting the pin, if I just put this to lock, watch this. If the pin is not in there, but this is engaged, there's a small red piece of metal, steel, which comes and prevents the liner from going flush to the body. That prevents me from closing the knife. Okay, so that's the first safeguard. Okay, so it's a bit like a lock system. I suppose it's Extrema Ratio's own version of that as such, and that prevents the liner from, you know, going flush with the body. So how could that happen? That could happen if you've got gloves on maybe, and under extreme twisting like this, in this motion, your fingers would rub against this somehow or other and possibly close that. It's unlikely, I believe. I've never encountered that in any possible scenario I can think about. But let's pretend for 1 minute it did. You see, you can't close it. And so combined with, if I was to insert the pin now in here and lock that, now we've got, you know, the security of not only this by itself, but this offset pin, offset from the main axis of the blade here. Okay, so let's just pretend, I'll open that up, I'll keep the pin in there. Let's pretend the liner has gone all the way across and failed. You see this? The knife cannot be closed. That's an impossibility because of that pin. So while there is a bit of slop in there, you see that little bit of slop there like that? Okay, and again, if the stop pin up here was damaged, the knife would not go the other way. The knife would remain essentially a fixed blade knife. So the fact that there is some slop in there like that tells me that the pin is really a redundancy safety mechanism for failure of the other two components in there. So the knife is really, you know, failure proof to a certain degree as far as the structural integrity of the actual knife, overall knife construction goes. So that's not load bearing. This is not load bearing at all. The load bearing, I'll just unlock that. The load bearing situation in this position is the liner and the base of the tang and the stop pin. Let's have a look at the stop pin. Hold on, I'll unlock that. Let's have a look at the stop pin. There's that big, thick, chunky stop pin there. Okay, so let's move into the field now. I've talked a little bit about the specifications. Gimping here, gimping up here. Excellent grip. You can almost get two hands on this thing. The size of the blade, you know, it approximates a small hunting knife. It's a good, you know, almost inch bigger than a regular liner lock folder. There you go with that. And overall, actually, it's about 46% bigger than a regular folder. You know, if we have to put some numbers on it, I measured it against some other liner locking folders I had of more, you know, compact size. So we'll talk about the HF2D, the drop point version, as you can see here in the field. Yeah, let's go and check it out. Let's move on.